I've worked with some of the most successful restaurants who had great culture, who had great leadership, great ownership, great venues, right? But they still suffer sometimes from managers losing motivation. What do I do if I'm not motivated anymore? Like, what do I do if I've lost all motivation? This is good for owners and this is good for managers, because if you're a manager, obviously this is good to hear. And then if you're an owner, this is a good thing to focus on and pay attention to, because, and it's a natural thing, because as a manager, you're constantly being asked a lot. There's no manager position in any company we worked with, and we've also studied extensively successful companies, like let's say Chick-fil-A, for example. We've studied them extensively, Ding Tai Fung, right? Like what makes them so successful? And even them, like they, of course, ask a lot from their managers. It's just part of the job. You have to do it. There's thin margins in restaurants, and so there's only so much you can not give your managers to do, right? It's just the nature of the beast. And so, one is like we want to focus on not overworking our managers, right? We want to just do whatever we can to take things off their plate. But a lot of times restaurant managers are overworked because they're not given the tools to be efficient. A lot of times restaurant managers, even in highly functioning restaurants, are still running around a lot putting out fires, right? They're kind of that's their job. They're just putting out fire after fire after fire. They're chasing their own tail. There's no real structure of growth or organization. And so one thing for sure is like if you're a manager or you're an owner trying to make your managers more successful, focus on two things. So focus on number one is making sure that your managers are as efficient as possible, but also giving them the tools to be efficient. It's not enough to say like, be more efficient, right? Be more organized. And that's a problem too, is like restaurant managers in general naturally aren't organized people. You get an organized manager every now and then, just like anything else. You get certain, skill sets that people possess, and they happen to be a manager at your restaurant. But for the most part, most restaurant managers are unorganized, so we have to get them organized, give them the tools to be organized. So instead of saying, go do this, it's like, here's a structure on how to do it, here's exactly how to do it, and then we're gonna meet every week and talk about your results, your difficulties, and your success on doing that thing, and then we're gonna work on how to make it better. We're going to work on how to make it more efficient, more organized, and we're going to keep working on it, chipping away and molding it and sharpening it until it becomes this really efficient thing. But when we're introducing something new to their job, then we need to build that structure. Now, what's really cool about that process is that with that process, you can use that process to document it and then build a system out of it. So let's say we have a new task for them to do, then we're going to have them start doing it, and now it's like, well, just go do that thing from now on. Do this new thing that we're introducing to the business, or we're doing something that we're already doing, but it's very inefficient. It's just inefficient by nature. No one's systematized it to make it simple. So we're going to work together every single week, and we're going to come out with a game plan, and we're going to execute it, and then we're going to come back every week and meet on it and figure out what worked, what didn't, how we can make it better. And we're going to systematize it that way. But either way, we're systematizing things. So that way now, when you give that task to another manager, like let's say this manager leaves, or you just have another manager that's going to do that task, or another manager takes over the responsibility, now they have a system that they can execute that's very organized and efficient. And then all you're doing is checking to make sure they're actually using the system the right way and doing the job the right way, trust and verify. And so that's one big piece of like why managers get demotivated, is because they're just constantly grinding. This takes away that element, right? You're not taking work off their plate. You're not like lightening their load. You are lightening their load, but you're lightening their load through efficiency. Because now I have these, like say, just random example, round number, 10 tasks I do every day as a manager. But because they're efficient now and they're systematized and you've done it for me, and you just literally, again, remember, managers are executors, not creators, right? Managers don't create systems, they execute them. Managers don't create systems, they manage them. So we got to create the system for them, and we got to make sure that they're properly managing them and running them. But once we create it for them, now they have 10 things that have no systems. Well, now they have 10 things with systems, and it becomes like 6 things versus 10. It feels like that, right? Or it feels like 5 things, because the workload lightens dramatically because everything becomes more efficient for them. And it becomes easier for them to execute too, because it's so simple, right? And then also time management, right? How are we managing our time? And that's another thing too, where managers are just like kind of all over the place. They kind of just walk in and just start doing things. And they kind of have like an immediate to-do list that they execute regularly, right? Like stuff that's I have to get done, otherwise the place burns down, right? Like I have to get payroll done, or making sure that everyone clocked out correctly, or breaks were missed, or whatever it was. I got to check all those things. I have to drop cash at the end of the night. I have to close out the receipts, like whatever it is. Those things they have to do, so they know it has to be done, so they'll get them done. But those back burner things start going on the back burner and they never get done, and so then those slowly start moving up to the front of things I have to get done immediately, and then the work piles on those on top of that because they're not being efficient on it. So then they go and tackle this giant project that built up because now the deadline's approaching, versus like slowly chopping away at it till the point where it's not even a deadline thing, right? It's just built into their workflow. So time management is really important. And so we have to give them the time management tools and help them manage their own time, because that's again partly a system, right? So we have to help them manage their own time. Now again, you might be like, well, Preston, I have to manage their freaking time. I have to do this. I have all this stuff going on. I am so busy already. I get that. I understand. But these are the things that you have to build out, because again, the front end work has a gigantic back end payoff, because you might not feel it now, but if you help create a time management system for every manager that comes in, that becomes plug and play, it's so much work up front, but the payoff is immense, where you don't even have to think about it afterwards. And then if you go over like a year period, right, you're doing dramatically less work after that, after you build out to like a year. Now, if you think about the first 3 months or 4 months or 6 months of building that thing out, the time management tool, it's going to be like, this is so crazy, this is so much work. But then after a year, when you divvy it up, you're like, oh, it's actually less work. And then you talk about 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's dramatic. It's like a fraction of the work, right? But if you never build that stuff out, then you're just constantly working on it, constantly dealing with it, constantly dealing with the repercussions of it, and the burnout that it causes, and then the turnover that it causes. So all those things start adding up like really quickly. And so what we want to do is start focusing on that time management piece. So two things, right? If you're a manager who's burnt out, and there's a myriad reasons of why you could be burnt out, but these are two things that are solvable, right? So if you have an owner who is like really hard to work with, and they're like very hard, they're rude or disrespectful or whatever, you're not gonna solve that problem. You need to get another job. If you have a manager who doesn't care about the business, doesn't care about the employees, and lets the employees do whatever they want, and doesn't give you any power, and you can't hold anybody accountable, so people are doing whatever they want, and you can't really do your job at a high level, like that's something you can't fix. But these things are things you can fix, right? You can fix time management, you can fix systems, you can build systems, you can do all those things. So I would focus on these two things, right? Systematize everything that you're doing now. And I would start with like creating a list, right? Spend, honest to God, like 3 or 4 hours on your day off, owner or manager, and write down everything that you do. Like think about it, like, and go in somewhere like turn off your phone and to leave your laptop and drive to like a cafe and spend 3 or 4 hours there. No distractions, with a pen and a paper. No electronics, nothing that can notify you or anything, and sit there and write. What do I do on Monday? Everything. What do I do on Tuesday? What do I do on Wednesday through Friday? What are my big projects I'm supposed to be doing that haven't even started yet? What are the things I want to get done? Now that you have this list, you put them in order of importance. What do I want to work on first, and what do I want to work on last? What's in order of importance to start systematizing? And then you start slowly systematizing. Now, you can't just go systematize all at once. Maybe build one system at a time and just slowly go from there. Now you have your list, and you can start building systems, and you can start refining those systems and refining, and then you go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Now you're saying, Preston, that would take so much time. Yes, it will. But A, you're developing a skill set. B, you're making your job easier in the long run. And C, these are skill sets that you develop as an owner or manager. It pays off immensely, because when you can build these things, you can understand them like this, then you're going to be successful in the next round of doing these, right? You become better and better and better. As a manager, if you get this down, your value is going to go through the roof. Because if you walk into a restaurant and say, I want you to hire me, I'm a GM, and I can create systems, I can create training, I can literally take all of your managers and go through this process with them, and in 6 months, I'm going to have them highly effective, highly efficient, and highly productive, they're going to be like, how much money do you want? Right? Because you're going to save us so much money, so much headache, so much heartache that we want you. And there's going to be, the bigger the company, the more valuable they're going to be to them, and the more opportunities arise for you. And then time management's the same thing. What am I spending all my, write down, do 15-minute blocks and write down everything you do every 15 minutes, set an alarm to go off. It's going to take work, but then you can write down and you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. And then start reorganizing your time management. Those are little things that you can do to become effective and efficient, but also to bring back that motivation. Because right now, when you're just constantly working in chaos, no matter how great your staff is, no matter how well your restaurant's doing, no matter how nice your owners are, supportive they are, you're going to get burnt out. And when you get burnt out, you lose motivation. It's hard to get it back. And if you don't have a solution to get it back, you're never going to fully get it back. And you could be at a really good place that's going to be really successful, or you could be an owner with really good managers, but you've burnt them out and you haven't given them the tools to succeed. And then you're going to lose those managers. Or as a manager, you're going to lose that job because not because you get fired, but you might just leave because you're just like so burnt out. And then you're going to realize, oh man, I had it great there, and the problem will follow you, right? Because most restaurants don't have these systems. Most restaurants don't have these time management things, so they're really important to focus on.